you can't crack under pressure as an entrepreneur. Because the moment you do that, that's when your business is going to head south. And that's when you're going to get into trouble.
Hey Limitless Nation, today you're in for a real treat. Today you get to learn directly from Edward Zia. Edward Zia is a husband, a father, an internet marketer, as well as a veteran of the Australian military. He prides himself on being a connector who encourages others to keep bettering their best and leveling up each and every day. Edward Zia is most well known for his catchphrase, which is "Bless your amazing heart." In today's masterclass, you get to learn directly from the master himself, Edward Zia. Let's dive into it.
Well, before you dive into today's masterclass session, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the subscribe button below. It allows you to receive notification about every single time we have uploaded a new video and showing you how to live a limitless life. Now, if you want to dig deeper on what you need to do to hunt your future, make sure you watch the interview that I've done with Donna Vaughn at huntyourfuture.com. It will show you how you can hunt your future on every aspect of your being. Plus, you're going to receive tips and secrets on what you need to do to tackle your days on a regular basis. Now, let's dive into today's masterclass sessions.
Hey, welcome Edward Zia.
Oh, Donovan, it's great to be here. And how are you today? What's going on?
I am doing phenomenal, and I am absolutely beyond thrilled to have you here with us today.
And I was going to say as well, I've heard that your viewers are very attractive and beautiful people. Is that correct?
Yes, these people who view this amazing content are some of the top high caliber people in the world. They're people who are go-getters, who are wanting to live a limitless life and get to that next level.
Oh my God, I'm just honored to be part of the discussion all the way from beautiful yet raining Sydney, Australia.
Yes, and Sydney, Australia, it's gotta be nice weather. I mean, even though it's raining, it's still what I think of as a beautiful Australian outback.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Albeit I live in the city all the time, so I always say this from my wonderful friends around the world, especially in the United States. Think of Sydney as the sort of size of New York. I know it's smaller. It's like a mixture of New York and Florida and Miami. So if you get Miami and New York and stick them together and make it really cool and fill it full of British and Aussies and Americans, you've kind of got Sydney.
That sounds exciting. So here at the Limitless Nation, we have a tradition of starting every interview with a limitless quote. So do you have a quote that you live your life by that you can share with the Limitless Nation?
Absolutely. You know what it is? My common phrase that I use all the time, which I believe to the core, is bless your hearts. Now, what does bless your hearts mean? What it basically is a reference to a lot of things, but it is a reference to actually sharing your blessings with people. So the whole point is that when you say bless your heart is you're actually sharing your abundance and blessings with the world. So to me, bless your hearts is what it's all about. It's all about sharing our abundance and helping everyone win-win.
That is exciting, and that's very much of a giving personality, where you're just completely having all your blessings overflowing, and you're giving away so much because you have so much.
Yeah. And that's the absolute idea, because I'll ask you this question, and I ask this to all my audiences. Let's say, let's just change reality for a moment. Let's say you need an accountant, right? You just need to hire an accountant for whatever reason. One has been really mean to you and never talks to you, and one puts out videos and you've spoken to before and they tell you they respect you. Which one are you going to give the business to or give a referral to if you need an accountant?
Absolutely the one that you resonate with more, or the person who you can really have a conversation with.
And then the irony of it all is that the point that I like making is being nice to people is a profitable thing to do. Like, why are you going to run around being mean to people? Because they're not going to hire you. They're not going to refer you. They're just going to hate you.
That makes it sound so simple that most people don't even put it into that perspective, that it is so much easier to be nice to people than it is to be hoarding everything to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't get me wrong, at times you'll have to push back and defend yourself, of course. Like, yeah, occasionally you get a rat bag trying to take advantage of you. But ultimately, you know, 99 out of 100 people are awesome. And, you know, you treat them well, they treat you well. And to me, that is how you take off as an influencer and become very successful from that frame of reference.
I completely agree. It reminds me of something that I believe Zig Ziglar said, which is there's only 4 or 5 really mean, nasty, dirty, rotten people in the world. They just happen to move around a lot.
Exactly.
And with that being said, and there's really not that many negative people in the world. The vast majority is positive, and they want to help each other, and they want to help each other move forward. And I think something that everyone has to go through at one point or another is an obstacle, a challenge, setback, or even a little bit of a failure, especially when you're into business for yourself, especially when you're trying to get to that next level. So can you share with the Limitless Nation, what was a challenge, obstacle, setback, or difficulty that you had to go through to get to where you are now?
Can I actually tell you something funny that happened to me this morning? I know it's very current, but I want to tell you a funny story. It's very, very current, very topical. I'm gonna say coronavirus, right? Now, just to let the audience know, I think this is quite funny actually. In a tragic, with all respect to corona and its victims, I mean funny in a tragic, dark sort of way. But interestingly, a challenge that I just overcame before this interview was that. For example, one of my side roles is I help run Meetup across Australia. You know, Meetup, you know, the events platform. So I'm like a Meetup ambassador, work with the Meetup guys, and I help run a lot of Meetups, including my own. And with the whole outbreak of Corona, over the weekend, I had a lot of heat on me sort of saying, Ed, what's going on with Meetups? Are we able to run events? What's going on? Ed, I've noticed you're running events. So I had a lot of heat on me all weekend, right? A lot of heat on me. You know the deal, right? You know when the heat's on you.
Yeah.
And the first thing that I did was I went straight to the government, and I got all their guidelines, and I just published them all this morning. And now it's sort of like, there's the evidence, everything's fine. I told you so when it comes to running meetups. The point that I'm making is that you're going to have challenges big and small, but you never know when a challenge is going to come up. And that's the thing that happens in business. In business, good and I say good and bad things happen to you on a regular basis. And the bigger your business is, the faster the good and bad things happen to you. And when something's negative in particular, the thing I've learned is you've got to really deal with it quickly. So it's funny, actually, I was all stressed out this morning reading through government PDFs, and I finally got the information so I can actually give it to people and say, there's the news from the government. Everything is fine. Don't panic. You know the deal.
And that's got to be reassuring that not only is everything fine, but it also reminds me of a popular quote in which it rains on both the good and the bad, and everyone gets wet.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
The big difference is the people who are prepared brought an umbrella so they don't get as wet.
And on that note, and this, the reason why I told that tragically amusing Corona story from the stuff I've been doing all morning, I've been up since like 5 a.m. just reading Australian government stuff, but we got there, right? But the thing that is really important, especially as an entrepreneur, is you can't melt under pressure. You know, you don't crack under pressure. And the entrepreneurs that get into trouble are the ones that crack under pressure. You know what I mean? They stuff up clients, they stuff up events. When things get moving, there's nothing wrong. At times you might get angry. You might thump the desk, or you might have a drink of alcohol or two. But the point I'm making is that you can't crack under pressure as an entrepreneur. So the moment you do that, that's when your business is going to head south. And that's when you're going to get into trouble.
I agree. Because as you said yourself, the bigger you get, the more pressure you have to be able to sustain. And the bigger you get at that size, the more vital your health and your energy and your vitality becomes, and as well as your time. So you really have to structure yourself in such a way that if you have a meltdown, that's probably one of the worst things for you when it's at a very inopportune time.
Yeah. And one of my this happens a lot actually. On Sunday, I get what's called the meltdown phone calls, right? So I'll get at least 1 or 2 phone calls a day. People are either angry or crying, and they've had their meltdowns. People I generally find have their meltdowns on Sundays. And that's when I get my phone calls. So I get at least 1 meltdown phone call every Sunday, right? Always been that way. And it's getting, now as I get more clients and more popular, I get more meltdown phone calls. If they're female, this is general, I'm being horribly gendered stereotypes here, but generally if they're female, they're crying. If they're male, they're usually completely deflated and sort of like, whoa, right? But the point is that what I always say to people, it's all right to have a meltdown, but get over it quickly. and do whatever you can to avoid it. And don't let anyone know you've had a meltdown, because when you have a meltdown, it doesn't look good. It's not good optics. It's not going to help you get to where you want to go.
Right. And then you've managed to, with all of your training, you have a lot of extensive training, especially in high pressure situations where you can't let your emotions control you. You have to actually go off of your training and go off of almost muscle memory in order to get whatever task it is done.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, you might absolutely crash. Like once the pressure's off, you might completely crash and fall over. That's fine, right? There's nothing wrong with crashing after the race. Crashing before or during the race is not a good thing. And what I always say to people is, I've crashed before, I've had meltdowns before, but what I always say though is don't crash when it counts. You know, feel free to crack under pressure when it's okay to crack, but don't crack during the actual moment, because that's what happens is that's when businesses can get really disrupted. And that's when people tragically and rightfully lose faith in you.
I agree. Because there's a right time and a wrong time to do anything and everything. And with so many things being able to happen with coronavirus and the world changing in dramatic ways, what are you working on now?
Hope you enjoyed the masterclass session so far. Before we get into the second half of the session itself, it is very crucial for you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, as I really don't want you to miss out on another masterclass where I'm going to share with you what other experts, celebrities, Fortune 5000 companies do to become successful and live a limitless life. So make sure you subscribe right now, and every single time we upload a new video, you will receive a notification bell. This allows you to enjoy the masterclass on the regular basis. So make sure you subscribe right now. Well, as you are ready, let's get into the second half of the masterclass session.
So working on actually quite a few different things, but for me is every day, one of my big things is speaking to lots of people. That's speaking on a personal basis, much like how we met, and great, again, connecting. And the second thing is as well is really continuing my online influencer expansion. So love LinkedIn, love Microsoft, working very closely with LinkedIn and Microsoft to keep expanding what I'm doing and reaching more people. And also too, and again, this is what I was dealing with all morning, is again, not a very popular thing to say right in the midst of the corona panic, but running meetups, actually running live events where we bring people together.
I can see how that would be a not very popular thing to say.
Oh yeah. So I've had a lot of heat on me all weekend, but I finally got all the paperwork and the answers from the Australian government out this morning. So it's like, good.
Wow. So where can the Limitless Nation viewers and listeners go to learn more about what you're working on right now in LinkedIn, in meetups, in all of that amazing events that you have going on?
Well, the best thing I always say to people is please, best place is please follow or connect with me on LinkedIn. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, you just have to say, Donovan is extremely handsome. And then we'll connect. That's all you got to say, and then we'll connect.
Awesome. In getting to this level of living your limitless life, obviously it's not something that you can just take all of a sudden one day wake up and say, hey, I want to be a very well-known connector on LinkedIn just by snapping my fingers. What was something that was holding you back from really becoming limitless and getting onto this journey of connecting with so many people throughout LinkedIn?
Well, I suppose the high level is I was a homeless veteran just over 10, 11 years ago. So I was a homeless guy, literally like a video game. You know how you play a video game, you start off really powerful and a disaster happens and you spend the whole game back at the start? That was my life. So I sort of, in a way, I was kind of reborn when I was 30, just homeless guy, homeless veteran, just restarting my life. And what was interesting about that whole journey experience, Donovan, is that the thing that I really learned, and I say this to everyone, is it's all about taking little baby steps every day. Because, for example, I spent my 30th birthday as a homeless guy, right? And if you said to me, oh, 10 years later, you're going to be married with kids, you're going to be a top influencer on LinkedIn, you're going to be doing stuff for the Australian government, you're going to have clients all over the world, I would have been, no way, man, I don't know about that. But it's true, but that's a result of daily baby steps. And that's what I say to anyone, regardless of how powerful or weak you think you are, that's irrelevant. It's all about taking daily baby steps and speaking to ones who are already there, so to speak. It's very much snakes and ladders. You can be there, but believe me, you can slide very quickly. And I don't mean like extreme situations like someone getting me too'd or anything like that. But what I more mean is that you can be successful, but if you cut back the daily motivation, it's snakes and ladders. People will forget about you in a year or two. It doesn't take long for people to forget it. It doesn't take long for people to get to know you. And equally, it doesn't take long for people to forget about you.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Now,
Yeah.
there's something that I'm curious about, and I'm sure the rest of the Limitless Nation is curious as well. Being homeless like 10 years or a little bit less than 10 years ago to now being a top influencer on LinkedIn, what was the aha moment? What was the moment where everything just, clicked and you got from being a homeless veteran with prestigious honors in the veteran world, which thank you very much for your service.
Thank you.
What was that click where you just jumped from right there, being homeless, having nothing, no anything, to where you are now?
Yeah, the click was actually it was a gradual click over a few months, right? So it wasn't so much, oh my God, here's this epiphany. It was more just thoughts and ideas I formed over a few months. And the thing that I really found was that, because I always thought that I knew based on my history, I've got a lot of, I can do a lot of crazy stuff. And I kind of realized that the reason why I had PTSD and I was quite injured from the government. But the point is that the main reason why I was in that position, it got me the insight on how to get out of it. Because to me, it's all about little baby steps. That's what it's all about. And what I kept thinking was, if I just take one baby step a day, I'll totally turn my life around. And I did. And that was right from originally. It was funny. I used to be a guy in a suit that carried a gun and had a car and all this cool stuff, right? And I was then in my 30s working I was one of those annoying guys selling health products in shopping malls.
Okay.
So I just had basic jobs like that, just stuff to like buy food and try and get some housing. And then from there, I was able to really start life. But one thing I had that I can say this now, is one thing I always had going for me is I've always been quite charismatic and charming. So, and kind of thank my parents for that. So regardless of how much trouble I'm in, I could always kind of talk my way out of anything. So that was quite funny.
That sounds amazing. Now, I don't recommend getting yourself in trouble to talk yourself out of it. However, it is definitely a good skill to have when you know how to communicate with other people to help them understand the situation that you're in.
Yeah, and also too, I think as well is, I'm a Christian, love Jesus, I pray a lot. That spiritual grounding is very important. But also it comes back to, the whole giver's game, because I've always been a very giving sort of character. So even when I was homeless, a lot of people wouldn't actually think I was homeless, right? It just wouldn't show, right? And when people would often find out that I was actually like living in my car, they were blown away. Really? It's like, wow, you hide that well. And I suppose what it was is that I wasn't so much, oh my God, I'm homeless, woe is me. I was sort of like, I want to restart my life. I want to meet some cool people. So even though I was homeless and it's technically a bad experience, I had a very positive frame about it because I really wanted to create something new anyway. It's about that time, roughly, when I decided that, I want to become some kind of global influencer. What I said, I think the actual words I said at the time was, I want to become some kind of global inspirational speaker. And it's like, 10 years. Yep, you're doing that, Ed. Yeah, 10 years later, there you are, 10, 11 years. You're doing it. It's great. But it's all a result of daily, and what it's in terms of limitless life concept. It's all about taking daily baby steps. That's what it's all about.
100%. Now, with you having helped so many different people, because now you're an influencer, now you're connecting with so many different people on a high caliber level, and you have clients yourself who look to you for advice, etc. What is the best piece of advice that you yourself have been given that you can now give to the Limitless Nation?
Yeah, back yourself 100%. So I want to give a quick shout out to one of my wonderful mentors and friends. His name's Brad Burton from the United Kingdom. Please, check him out on LinkedIn. Tell him I sent you. His name's Brad Burton. He gave me the best life-changing advice about 5 years ago, maybe 5, 6 years ago. Anyway, what that advice was is you need to back yourself 100%. So whether you get it right or wrong, you need to get in your own corner 100%. Whereas the problem is of a lot of people, and this, again, I'm describing my older self, is you're not completely invested in yourself. You're sort of, I'll see how it goes. We'll give it a shot. You're not really being super motivated. You're not really going for it. So my advice to anyone there is really, really go for it and put yourself behind you. That's so very important.
I agree. When you have to back yourself up 100%. You have to believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself and what you're doing, why should anyone else believe in you and what you're doing and stand behind you?
And they won't. And talking on a persuasion front, if you don't fully believe in what you have, you won't be able to persuade people. You won't come across as convincing or persuasive. Subconsciously, they'll feel something isn't right.
I agree.
And then the next issue is, and this brings up the next challenge, and it's a chicken and the egg issue. But Ed, I just started a new life and I haven't got any wins yet, and I'm waiting for wins to become confident. You know, it's the classic chicken and the egg tale. And my, I suppose, pushback and advice for those situations, which I've been in many times, is that's when you've got to really believe in yourself as a person. That's a very hard thing to do, because society always tells you how much you suck all day, right? So society is you suck and get back in line. So you've got to overcome that conditioning. It takes a lot of daily work. Hence, you know, why you watch cool stuff on YouTube, you motivate yourself, go to the gym, all that cool stuff.
All right. Yeah. Now, I think you've kind of touched on this topic before, but I just want to make sure that it's kind of clearly out there, because at homeless in your 30s, even as a veteran, that the habits and rituals that you had at that time in your life compared to where you are now, being a high influencer, being a speaker, doing all these amazing things with your life, those habits cannot be the same. The habits over here must be different. So what is a new habit or ritual that you adapted into your life that helps you maintain this incredibly amazing, limitless life?
Oh, well, I like an easy one is I like going to the gym 3 or 4 times a week. I'm actually off to the gym after this, which is great. So hence I'm in my wonderful gym clothes. There you go. But simple case, go there. We say exercising a few times a week is very few people do it, right? Very few people exercise, let alone a few times a week. So I'll say to anyone, if you exercise a few times a week, you'll totally transform your life.
100%, 100%. And in transforming your life, there's more than one way to transform your life, as you already know this. You must have had personal development and resources, etc., that have helped you along that path. So in that vein, as you also said that you had mentors and coaches, and you now coach and mentor other people.
I still have mentors and coaches now.
Yes. What would you say is the number one book that if you lost absolutely everything, that would be the first book you had to have back?
Yeah, I can actually answer that one very directly. It would be, the book is written by Scott Adams, who's the creator of Dilbert. The title is Win Bigly, Persuasion in a World Where Facts Don't Matter. Now, I want to give a big shout out to Scott Adams. Great guy, he's been very kind to me. He has, now again, I don't mean to get political, but I'm going to get very political here. He's mentored Trump, right? So Scott, whether you love or hate Donald Trump, he's mentored the guy, right? Trump listens to this guy for political strategy and persuasion advice. And in that book, Win Bigly in the Persuasion World, it's basically how Donald Trump defeated Hillary Clinton. Like, how did he win against an establishment that was so against him? And it was all about, it was basically in a way a biography of how Trump did it, as in terms of being a master persuader.
That is incredible.
Think about it, again, I'm just being politically neutral here, but in the 2016 election, how did he do it? Like, he fought the whole media establishment and the Clinton dynasty. There are even Republicans that said they're never Trumpers, and he still won. And that's the point of the book. And the point was, the reason why I won is because he's a master persuader. And the book Win Bigly unpacks that. And that book absolutely transformed my life. And big shout out to Scott Adams, great guy.
Awesome. Now, also kind of in the mind, not so much in the persuasion, but in the mindset there, if you had to say in one sentence, what are you most grateful for today?
Oh, definitely grateful for my, my family. Definitely for my wonderful wife, Lassie, our children, and my family. That's instantly the first thing. And the second thing would be Jesus. It's probably Jesus, and the family. I'll give you that answer. Family first, though, of course.
Right.
It's okay. The Bible says you need to love your family first before me, so I'm cool with that. So there you go.
All right. Now, where can the Limitless Nation viewers and listeners go to learn more about you, connect with you, see what you have going on, and just say hi?
Oh, definitely on LinkedIn. Feel free to follow me and connect with me on LinkedIn again. As I was saying before, I'll only accept a connection request if you say Donovan is a handsome man. So if you say Donovan's a handsome man, I'll accept your friend request on LinkedIn. And also as well, I'm also lightly present on Instagram and Facebook as well. But Jeff, LinkedIn's more the place to where you'll see Ed hanging out all day.
Awesome. Well, thank you very, very much for your time, Edward Zia.
Oh, it's a pleasure, Donovan. Thank you so much. I just want to say a big thank you to viewers for being so awesome and wonderful.
Yes, I'm sure that the Limitless Nation has been inspired by your story, because I know that I most definitely have been blown away at all of the incredible stories that you have, because you went from being a very highly trained military officer with some really behind the scenes tactics and experiences that almost no one gets to have, to a near-death experience, which we didn't even touch on, but that was something incredible there. But you went from that to being homeless for 10 years, to finding out the tips, the secrets, and all the tricks that it takes to become an influencer that really connects with just about anyone in the world. And over that period of time, instead of keeping all that information to yourself, instead of keeping the mentors that you have to yourself, you decided to turn around and share that with other people so that they too can live a limitless life, so that they can find a way to get to their next level. As you said in your core philosophy, giving to other people, being grateful for other people, and sharing with other people is actually profitable. It's actually a good thing, not only just for yourself, but for your business as well. And I think that is amazing.
You make a great point, Donovan, because you get people that go into business and they try and create this image that they're awesome, they're just better than you. You and I are losers, and they're just incredible people. And it doesn't actually work. The thing is, it's just dumb. Like being like, okay, there are situations where you have to push back and be mean to people who are giving you a hard time, but they're rare situations. In the whole overall scenario, giving people a hard time is a dumb strategy. You know, like you're not going to win hearts and minds by judging people or pushing people around. In fact, going back to that book I talked about before, Win Bigly, Persuasion Where Facts Don't Matter. But one of the biggest things is, and again, I'll use Hillary Clinton as an example. I actually like Hillary Clinton, by the way. However, this is the day she decided to go after her own supporters. Remember that time and Scott Adams talks about this in this book. Remember that time when Hillary Clinton kind of lost it, and she called Trump voters and half of America deplorables? Do you remember that?
I remember that quite vividly.
I said I wasn't the only one. That was the day she lost to Trump. It was that moment. Because, and again, I was a real Hillary and Bill Clinton fan from the 90s, just to let you know that, right? From the 90s. And the moment she did that, I was like, oh, because what it was is that you're being mean to people. You're saying negative things to people, and that pushes people away. People don't want that. People want to feel nurtured. Even if you're saying something negative about someone who's not the person you're talking to, people will just feel, oh, I don't like that. You know, that's not for me. I want more love, peace, and kindness, and that sort of thing. So to me, the whole thing is really appreciating and loving your audience is very important. I think that's it. And to me, the top influencers that go great are the ones that genuinely love their audiences.
100%.
Like Oprah Winfrey, she was an influencer way before the internet began. And she loves, you can tell, and I'm a big Oprah fan. I don't know, I'm showing my age here. I know I'm talking about Oprah and Hillary and Bill Clinton. This is terrible, right? An old guy. But Oprah Winfrey, she loves her, you can tell she loves her fans. You know what I mean? You can tell she loves helping people. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. I've heard a lot about Oprah's story and how she went from this to that to the other. And it's incredible that she has, like you, such a giving spirit. And it shows so profoundly.
Yeah. And case in point, Oprah is, I think Oprah is one of the most okay, sure. I'm sure she loves millions of dollars at a big house. Who doesn't? But she's driven by abundance and giving back to people. That's why I love Oprah so much. Great example of that.
100%. Well, until next time, this is Donovan saying, stay limitless.
Well, that's a wrap. Please make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the word subscribe. And if you want to go deeper on learning on what you need to do to hunt your future, make sure you watch the interview that I've done with Donovan on what you need to do to hunt your future on every aspect of your being. This allows you to live a limitless life on every aspect of your life starting from today's forward. Plus, you are going to receive tips and tricks on what you need to do to tackle your day, tackle your challenges on every situation, every single time. So go ahead and download it right now, and until then, stay limitless forever.
Interesting part, excuse me, there's these hot construction guys pushing a trolley right now. You probably can't hear a word that I say. Stand by. I don't know if you can see the reflection. There's two guys pushing a trolley.